Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining me today because we are going to tackle a financial milestone that honestly feels like a total myth to so many of us. Yup, we are talking about hitting that first crore. Today we're going to break down the highly effective, surprisingly boring, and entirely mathematically proven strategy shared by entrepreneur and investor Crore. So let's just dive right into this and demystify exactly how you can build the kind of wealth that completely changes the game for your future.
So, right off the bat, I want you to be brutally honest with yourself about one big question. How long do you think it actually takes to make your first crore? Does it feel like this completely impossible dream, like a number so massive you'd have to pinch pennies for your entire lifetime just to get halfway there? Listen, you are definitely not alone if you think that. But as we're about to see, the reality here is dictated by math, not magic.
You've got to see the sheer power of what Wariku calls the compound flywheel. It is literally fascinating. Let's say you take a lump sum of 10 lakhs and invest it at an average annual return of 12%. Okay, yes, it takes a grueling 21 years of waiting for that 10 lakhs to finally hit the 1 crore mark. It absolutely tests your patience. But look at what happens right after that. You change absolutely nothing, you just keep waiting, and yet it takes only 6 more years to reach 2 crores. And from 2 crores to 3 crores, just 3 years. That is the snowball effect in full action. Getting to your first crore takes immense patience, but those subsequent ones, they come at a lightning-fast pace.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the first crore magic. 2, finding the right returns. 3, the first crore strategy. 4, the ultimate freedom portfolio. And 5, the 3 rules of wealth. Let's get into it.
Starting with part 1, the first crore magic.
We just looked at a lump sum example, but let's translate this into the monthly reality that most of us actually live in, right? We're talking about systematic investment plans, or SIPs. And the mathematical truth here is pretty harsh. If you want to hit 1 crore in just 10 years at a 12% return, you need to be investing roughly 45,000 rupees every single month. For most people, that's just out of reach. But look a bit further down the timeline. Expand your time horizon to 20 years, and that monthly requirement suddenly drops down to a highly achievable 8,880 rupees. Got 25 years? It's just under 6,000. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is this. Unless you have the rare ability to invest massive amounts of cash every month, patience is mathematically mandatory. Time is, without a doubt, your greatest asset.
Moving on to part 2, finding the right returns.
Now, you might have noticed that in all these calculations, we are specifically aiming for a 12% return. Why? Because playing it too safe actually robs you of your time. Think about it. If you take that 10 lakh starting amount and park it in a traditional fixed deposit at roughly 6%, it's going to take you 40 years to reach a crore. 40 years! That is an entire working lifetime. But by aiming for roughly 12%, which historically maps right onto top-tier index funds like the Nifty 50, you cut that timeline almost in half, down to just 21 years. You simply have to take a calculated, predictable step out of that ultra-safe zone to make the math actually work within your lifetime.
But listen, right here is where people make a fatal error. I call it the 25% return trap. Someone looks at the 20-year timeline, they get antsy and they say, well, I want my crore in 13 years, but I can still only invest 10,000 a month. To achieve that mathematically, you'd need a consistent 25% annual return. Let me be 100% clear with you. There's absolutely no predictable instrument out there that delivers 25% consistently over 13 years without taking on massive heart-stopping risk. Chasing unrealistic returns in crypto or unproven assets just to speed up the clock, it's basically a surefire way to lose your capital.
All right, let's look at part 3, the first crore strategy.
So if we aren't playing it too safe, and we definitely aren't gambling on ultra high risk, how do we actually build a perfectly balanced engine? Well, if you want to invest roughly 10,000 a month and hit your target in about 17 to 18 years, Wariku suggests a very specific mutual fund blueprint. Here's how it breaks down. You allocate 50% of your investment right into the Nifty 50. These are the stable, predictable top 50 companies in India. That's your rock-solid core. Then you put 30% into mid- or flexi-cap funds, and the final 20% goes into small-cap funds. Are small caps riskier? Yes. But over a nearly 2-decade timeline, they provide that slight acceleration you need to trim a few years off your journey, all while that Nifty 50 core keeps the whole ship completely stable.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material because it really hits the nail on the head regarding the secret sauce. Wariku notes, 90% of my portfolio is boring mutual funds, no stock picking. Let that sink in for a second. He is not spending his days trying to outsmart the market or magically pick the next Apple or Tesla. The entire strategy relies on boring discipline, just doing the exact same, simple thing, month after month, year after year. Which brings us to part 4, the ultimate freedom portfolio.
Now, I know 17 to 20 years sounds like a really long time to just sit around doing something boring, but the ultimate reward is undeniable. Look at the jaw-dropping total value of Wariku's portfolio, 8.7 crores. Now, yes, he totally acknowledges that a portion of this was driven by an incredible market bull run, but the foundation of this massive number is just relentless, automated investing of company profits and personal income. He stayed the course, and compounding did all the heavy lifting.
But honestly, a big portfolio balance isn't even the real prize here. The passive income is. If that 8.7 crore portfolio just grows at that standard 12% rate, it's generating over 1 crore a year in returns alone. Even if he pays a 20% capital gains tax, he's left with roughly 7 lakhs a month in pure passive income. And that is without ever touching the original principal amount. At that point, your money is literally working harder than you are.
And doing this math, it completely changes your entire life structure. The source notes his yearly luxury expenses, we're talking home, travel, school fees, the whole shebang, total around 50 to 60 lakhs. Meanwhile, the 12% return on his portfolio is generating over 1 crore. The true definition of financial freedom is when your passive income just effortlessly covers your lifestyle. Because at this point, you work entirely by choice, not by necessity.
Okay, finally, part 5, 3 rules of wealth.
So how do you and I actually get there? Well, we have to adopt 3 non-negotiable rules so we can survive a multi-decade journey without self-sabotaging. Rule number 1, expand your patience horizon. You just have to accept that unless you are incredibly wealthy right now, that first decade is going to feel slow. Rule number 2, focus on increasing your active income. Improve your skills, expand your network, just find ways to earn more so you can invest more. And rule number 3, practice disciplined investing.
Let's look a little closer at that third rule, because it really requires what we call the millionaire mindset. Most people receive their income, spend money on their lifestyle, and then they try to invest whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month. The problem? Usually, nothing is left. The millionaire habit flips this entirely. Step 1, receive income. Step 2, invest automatically, right away. Step 3, spend what is left to run your household. You literally must automate your investments before you spend a single rupee.
And I want to give a quick warning against our own worst impulses here. Do not try to time the market. Recessions will come and go. It is just a cycle. If you don't need the cash right now, market dips simply do not matter. And please, for your own sanity, stop checking your portfolio every single day. It doesn't help it grow faster. It literally only fuels anxiety and tempts you to tinker with a system that works best when it's just left alone. So, I'm going to leave you with this one final provocative question to chew on. Will you pay your future self first today? Or will you spend it all now and find yourself waiting 40 long years on a fixed deposit to reach your goals? The path to your first crore isn't some heavily guarded secret. It's a mathematical certainty built on boring, relentless discipline. Start your sip tomorrow, embrace the boring, and let time do the heavy lifting. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Keep learning and keep growing.